Okay guys, so I am going to talk to you a bit about chisel sharpening. One of the things my grandpappy used to tell me was, boy, you keep your chisel sharp and your chisel sharper. And that way when you go to cut that wood, it makes a smooth cut. No, he really didn't ever say that. My grandpappy never used chisels. So, and I do, and I'm going to show you how to sharpen them because it is something that has to be done all the time. It is necessary to keep your chisel sharp. And when I went out to my truck, and on Saturdays I bring stuff in and like get it sorted, you know, for the next work week, and I noticed that one of my chisels has a sad, and I remember doing this, and you can't avoid it, but when you go and you're mortising locks on a door, you inevitably will find nails or sheet metal trim or the copper weather stripping that has the little nails in it, and you will inevitably get nicks in your chisel. So what that causes, and this one both of these were recently sharpened, and whenever I'm on a job and I hit that nail, it makes me cringe because I know I'm gonna have to spend 20 minutes reprofiling the dang thing. If it's just light, if it's just dull, you just brush it up. But when we get nicks like that, it requires a little bit more drastic maneuvers. And the reason is say you have a line going across, let's just use this. So you're trying to cut, you know, your mortise on your really funny latch here. And you come in with a sharp chisel and you put it on your line. This isn't a very stable platform, nor is this a very good wood to be doing this in, because it's just scrap cheap pine. But seeing as how that's what a lot of our houses are built with nowadays, that is what we're doing. So then we go to the one that has those two notches in the side, and we're going to come in and try to get all the mortise going on. All right, a couple of whacks here. Now it's not gonna show up nearly as bad on this wood as it would, say, a really fine, nice door or something. But you can see how close we can get. This is our sharp one. This one's the one that's kind of dull. And you can see, maybe not everybody can see it, but to me, that is, you know, you can tell that's just a much cleaner line along the back edge especially. And that's what's important because this inside is going to be removed. So you're really looking along that back edge. So it looks like there is one little burr, that may just be the wood. But then when you come to the one that's duller, you see how the wood kind of bends in? That's the big difference in a clean install versus with a sharp chisel versus a install with a dull chisel. So there's a number of things that you can use to sharpen chisels. This is a really old 3-in-1 stone block, wet stone or oil stone if you want to call it that, Arkansas stone, and you got coarse, fine, and medium. So this I've had for like 20 years, and one of the problems I started running into late in its game was the medium side. Still dirty, I haven't used it yet. The medium side, it dishes out. And when I say it dishes out, it gives you a swoop in the, instead of the stone being flat like that, it has just a little bit of a hollow out just from years of chiseling and cutting stuff. So I flipped the stone over, like the glue came off of one, and I kind of try not to use this a whole lot anymore, but I still use the fine side for my finish. The other day, well, a couple of months back the other day, I went and picked up some cheapy DMT look-alike knockoff stones, diamond stones, diamond, quote, heavily quoted industrial diamond stones, and red is The fine, this is the medium, and this is the coarse. In the DMT world, DMT is the original maker of these, and it is a much more quality product, but I wanted to see how much Chisels would do on this surface, and I think actually DMT's is a little bit finer oval, so it probably would work even better. They also make these 3-in-1 that I've noticed lately at the sports stores and stuff that has like 1 stone and then 2 diamond stones on a 3-way thing like that. And I saw a couple on clearance, and that was another one of those, oh, should I buy it, should I not buy it? And I didn't buy it, probably mistaken, but I'll probably hopefully go back and it'll still be for that cheap price. So that's one thing you can get. Now, stones use oil, and DMT needs nothing, or I keep saying DMT, I'm probably gonna get sued for that, but these diamond stones are, if you need to use anything, water. You don't use oil on diamond at all, but you do use oil on a oil whetstone. And there's, you know, I'm by far the top sharpening god of everything. I can barely sharpen my pocket knife good. I can, but it's not something I like doing. There's a lot more experienced video people on YouTube. I mean, if you really want a real deal, go find you one of those guys on YouTube that do nothing but sharpen for their YouTube channel. And you know, I'm just going to go over a vague thing, because really the only thing that locksmiths need to sharpen beside their pocket knife is their chisels. So I'm going to go over that. And between the stones, and you'll see I have 2 pieces of sandpaper out here. I've got a 600 grit and a 1200 grit sandpaper. I bought a case of each one of these a long time ago, and literally 20 years ago, and I've still got plenty. And I use this in conjunction with a flat surface, being this piece of titanium I have. And that gives me my 2 final little strokes, which isn't necessary, but I like doing it just because. So what you can do is, let me unplug this phone and move it over here. So what you can do is use a bench grinder, and you got to be really careful doing this. Number one, you can't just come in and, because that's gonna burn the temper right out of the blade. All metal is heat treated to a certain whatever hardness, and you don't want to burn it out. You don't ever really want to sharpen a knife on a grinder. But I'm gonna do this in lieu of using that coarse stone. I could use that blue stone up there and just grind, keep on grinding until we got rid of those notches. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take a couple of swipes on the bench grinder and then take it back to the stones and finish it there. You can do it either way. If you do the bench grinder, be very, very careful with it. Number one, if it grabs it and throws it, you got to be careful holding the thing. And number two, you don't want to burn the temper or mess up the temper in the blade, I keep saying blade thing, it's a knife, in the metal. So let's do this real quick. This is a fine wheel, this is a coarser wheel over here. And it takes just a second to get it going speed. So we're going to do this real quick and light, just to get these burrs off. So I'm going to come in. Take one swipe at it. Alright. I'm going to take another one. And I want to even that up. It's good. It's okay. You take a little bit off the chisel. Starting to fold, the metal's starting to fold over right now. It's okay, I gotta get rid of those notches. That's about as long as you want to put it on there. Alright, so we can see we got that one notch going away right there. We'll play one more swipe and we'll be able to go back to the stone and letting it cool down a little bit. That made a funny noise. Alright, got pretty heavy wrap over. kind of an uneven surface there. We'll clear that up on the stone. But if you remove the metal there, looks like we're almost rid of that. I'm going to leave it off right there. Let me get this over here and I'll show you what I mean. So, get a little focus on the camera. Alright, so this center strip right here is what we're aiming for. Right there. Now while I have this Sharpie out, if you're not good at holding an angle, you can coat the whole tip of it. And I don't like doing it because it gets my stones dirty. But if you coat the whole tip of it, as you sharpen, whatever scrapes away, it'll tell you what angle you need to be at. Now, on the topic of angles, some people like a perfectly, so we got the chisel here, we got it, and some people like a perfectly pointy angle. Oh wait, I'm way out of camera. Let's get down here, where are we at? Yeah, okay. So, bottom of the chisel, top of the chisel, and just a straight angle, like whatever degree that is, 40 degree, 35 degree. I personally do a two-step, so I'll have the major bevel here, and then right at the tip I'll have a little bitty micro bevel. Very, very narrow micro bevel though, because you don't want it to be too much of a micro bevel because it bites into the wood kind of weird. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm bracing this up against a hard, immobile surface over here. I'm going to put this on the stone and simply hold the angle. Now there are roller guides that you can get where you clamp the chisel up in it, but I really haven't found a good one that's not incredibly expensive, like over $100. And for that price, I can freehand this. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to pay that for a roller guide. But if you're horrible with angles and you can't get angles, you can get cheaper versions probably on Amazon and stuff. But it's basically like two wheels, and you set the angle. If you want it to be 32 degrees, you would set it for 32 degrees. And you just basically push. With any... Okay, sorry about that. I had a customer with a question. So anyway, we were on angles. So whatever angle you pick, you'll figure it out as you start. So basically, if you just hold your wrist in this one position, and you do this for X amount of time. Now remember, we're on the coarse, so that's going to take metal off pretty quick. Maybe. So what I'm doing now is I'm flattening out those little peaks and valleys that I caused when I did the grinding with the machine. So that sharpening mark is still there. So I'm doing the angle. I'm doing the main angle right here. And sometimes you got to put a little oomph into it. So I'm going to do a few strokes like this. You know, if you're off 1 or 2 degrees in the beginning, it's fine. You'll figure it out, and the blade will sit. Once you get your degree, the blade kind of helps you if you feel it, and you should be very much in tune with your chisel. This is one of the most important things in the locksmithing world. Without this, there would be no doing your job as a locksmith. Dramatic, but it's true. I should say, as a locksmith that does commercial or residential work, you got to know how to use a chisel. I guess that could be another video. Well, you know, I've done a video. I think I did a day video or something where I was sharpening chisels, and some of the discussion veered towards that part of the video. And was asking me about it, so maybe this will answer that question. But in the meantime, and I've also done this scattered throughout videos where I've done an install, and you've seen me mortise a log, but I don't think I've can't say I've ever done a step-by-step what to do. And I'll do that one day when I find a place where I'm putting the lock in, where I have filming permission and have time to do that way. So if you'll notice, at the end of my ramp here is the titanium that I've been using as a stop. It's not a real great idea, because if you get carried away and you hit, you tap into your metal. So if that would be best if I had it like this, up against this wood. That way it wouldn't dull. So just a little point there, because I just hit it. Figured I would bring that up. If you're going to use a metal backer like that, make sure you're got short strokes and don't go all the way. Alright, we should be getting close to switching to the yellow. And I really never use the yellow. I pretty much go from coarse to fine. Okay, we got our line kind of back there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move from this, because at some point when you keep looking at your chisel and that angle is not really doing what you want it to do, it's best to go ahead and switch to a different grip or method. Sometimes the stones play tricks on you. So we're going to switch it to this. Give it a few swipes. Again, I never use the yellow, the medium, other than maybe a few swipes like I'm doing here if I've got a really bad angle problem, bevel problem. I'll go to this one because it is never used and there's no way it could have dished out, which these are too new to dish out. So that's not really a concern in this situation. Alright, and we can see that's giving us a new kind of interesting effect along the edge. And we've still got that problem with that huge micro bevel right there, if you can see it. So, but we are coming to the point where we're going to fix that. Maybe. Everybody's like, at the beginning of the video, you said you weren't doing that. I know. Well, I am. Just showing you can do it different ways. Now, you don't want to do that too long because the heat will build up. If you do it too fast and too long, you will get heat build up. So let's see where we're at there. Still having that problem with the micro bevel, but we're getting closer. So what it's doing now is the main bevel's biting into the micro bevel, and we're kind of taking length off the chisel little by little as you sharpen. But I've got some old chisels that are this tall. They've gotten down to right here, and that actually changes the metal temper changes when they get that short. They're kind of useless because the metal is so soft that I guess to take the shock of the hit, it's softer in this area than it is up here. But yeah, it's funny to hold a 7-year-old chisel up next to a brand new one. A 7-year-old chisel that's been sharpened numerous times. You can definitely tell the difference. And even here, these were born the same length and they're kind of wearing about the same, but this one's still, for the next few minutes anyway, this one is still the longer of the two. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and put a steep bevel on there. I'm trying to get rid of that issue that we've got going on here. See if we can't get it corrected. Okay, I'm back with you on this. Now that I've gotten the bevel straight, as you can see in that speed up video, we have pretty much a nice bevel main bevel, and then we're starting to, just from the sharpening, we're starting to get the little over curb stuff here. So we're going to do the bottom thing again and lay it perfectly flat, and just do this. Now I still kind of have a little bit of a micro bevel problem on one side, just from my screw up with the thing, but that's going to be worked out when I hit my final. It's not enough of a problem, because doing what I'm doing here and then going back and reprofiling it again is going to take all that away. So while we're not perfect, another thing is you never want to go, you want it always to be perfectly level, because you don't want to cut one side too deep. So you want to make sure that stays off, and we can, or perfectly flat. Now we can see it is off just a bit. Time to maybe pull these stones out. Let's put it on fine. Fine's fine. So we're holding it perfectly parallel. Stone is not fine. It's good medium. You see we got some light coming through. So what we're going to do is we're going to, holding it as parallel as you can, we're going to scrape it. Ah, bye-bye edge. Ah. Okay, so our light is gone, but obviously we've got a flat there, but that's okay. That's part of the micro bevel. Far more important for it to be square that way than anything else. So let's see what damage we just caused there. Nothing that a few little strokes of these final grits that we're going through can not handle. So stone, if you want to see the stone, I'll go ahead and show you the stone. This is just standard oil. And again, there's merits to using oil versus not using oil. I like using oil. So, and these stones are made for oil, so I'm just going to smear it around on the stone here. And then I'm going to start into my, starting to hone that final edge. So I'm going to be kind of quiet here again for a minute so I can speed this up. And let's see what kind of medium stone edge we can get going on here. Okay, a little bit of time on the oil stone, and we can again see getting a little bit shinier bevel there, and we are perfectly flat, and the 90-degree edge that we kind of dulled into it is still there. We're still not to the point of sharpening that end. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my fine stone, and remember, get all the oil off. You don't want oil on a diamond stone, or the world will end. So now I'm going to start taking a few swipes here, and again I'm going to do the speed it up a little bit. Okay, so in our finishing parts of this, we'll see that we have a pretty decently done bevel back. Now remember, this is not your pocket knife. This doesn't need to shave. Doesn't need to shave your hair. But if you really want it to, you can. But just remember, it's going to dull immediately after you whack it into the first piece of wood. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my 600 grit and flat surface. And get my bevel. Now there's one thing about this you got to be careful of, is that, because that'll cause it to go up and over. So now I'm just honing. This is the honing point. Shiny edge, and starting to come back to being sharp. Still not quite there, but still working on it. The last few strokes is where you get your sudden sharpness. Like, it's going to be dull up until then. I may have started this a little too soon, so I'm going to go ahead and hit this a couple more times here, just for speed. Just bring that back. Alright, well, pay attention to the back of it, especially the edges and the corners. And we can see the angle starting to go away, or the flat that I had in there. I know it's probably hard to tell on camera, but there is a kind of a flat right there. Doing the back part of it again. I think I'm probably off camera. I'm not. Getting the back all smoothed up. Alright, and then you can see your burr coming up here, starting to get sharper. But you're looking along the back, you can see that burr forming. So we're trying to get rid of that wire edge burr that always comes up when you're sharpening a knife. Alright, started to get rid of it there. And we got a nice little micro bevel going on. You can see it. Okay. Nice and clean. See? Almost cutting. But again, you're not looking for hair shaving sharpness. You're looking for a sharpness that's going to last. So we switched over to the 1200, and I'm going to wrap this video up because you pretty much get the idea. There's no point in continuing to watch, but you just take it down step by step, going from coarsest to medium to fine. And after a good 15-20 minutes, if you've got a really bad edge, you will have you a functional chisel edge again, which again is not the same as a knife edge. And one thing I will do usually is take one last swipe. Perfect. All right, now moving to 600. This shouldn't take long at all. And 1200. All right, so as we can see, so that's pretty much all she wrote. Again, if y'all want real deal sharpening information, by all means, please go find a person who does this. I know it's still kind of rough down here, but it is not nearly as bad as it was before. And that's probably going to be smoothed up by doing a flat thing here. So, anyway, that's it into this kind of long video. These things come with little plastic caps. Oop, that didn't fit. But obviously they get lost pretty easily. Now this other one is already pretty sharp. All I'm going to do is come in and hone it. And that'll touch that edge right up. Or probably put it on this for a minute. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. These are Buck Brothers chisels that I got at Home Depot. I like them because they got the metal end cap, resin handle, and I've just used these for like 15 or 20 years. So I know there's a lot more expensive chisels out there, but you don't really need an expensive chisel to do the job. Looks like it works. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and till next time, y'all have a good one.